Hello dear patients, your favorite doctor here, Dr. Plague. Last time we spent quite some time talking about comfort games, but we left one apart, and this game is so magnificent that it deserves its own video. So grab your Santa Claus suit, your rotten egg launcher, and plan up your best tricks, because we're going green. Let's take a look at the Grinch. It is Christmas. This is a time to be merry and joyful, and also enjoy some video games and spend time with the family, if that's your kind of thing. I am not a very familiar person. However, I am a man of traditions. Every single year, I buy some white Oreos, a blue drink, and watch the Grinch. But who or what is the Grinch? The Grinch is a fictional character created by Dr. Seuss, an American children's author and cartoonist, and is the main character of the book How the Grinch Stole Christmas. He is a green, furry, misanthropic creature who lives in Mount Grumpet in the outskirts of Whoville. He hates Christmas with a burning passion, and one day he decides to steal it to end it once and for all. This story has had many adaptations, being the most popular ones the 1966 television special, the 2000 live-action movie, and the 2018 Illumination animated movie. But doctor, this is not a movie review channel. What does this have to do with video games? I'm glad you asked. You see, after the 2000s movie, a little game company decided to capitalize on the success of the movie and make a video game adaptation. But that's not all. Turns out the Grinch has 3 different video games. The adaptation of the movie for the PS1, Sega Dreamcast and PC, the port of that game for the Game Boy Color, and a 2007 game for the Nintendo DS. So why limit myself to just the main dish if I'm able to have appetizer and dessert as well? You can bet your ass I'm going all in, damn it. We're going to play and complete all these 3 games before the clock hits Christmas time. Let's go! As much as I'd like to just ramble on about the PS1 game, we're starting things with the 2007 Nintendo DS game, Dr. Seuss, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Information on this title is very scarce, so we better go ahead and play. Oh god. What?
Hello, Mr. Doctor. Merry Christmas.
Hey, you told me I could do this video without your intervention. You promised!
Indeed. That was our Christmas present for you.
Wow, why didn't you just give me a functioning Switch?
Don't speak nonsense, Mr. Doctor. You still have some grueling tasks to complete.
Alright, why are you calling me then?
We just want to make sure that we don't have to add you to the naughty boy list this year. How are you playing this Nintendo DS title, huh?
On a Nintendo DS?
With an original copy of the game?
Yes, of course.
Don't lie to us, Doctor. You're using that wretched R4 card, right? Why must you do this to us?
I don't... Wait a moment. Are you drunk?
It's Christmas, Mr. Doctor. A time of joy and celebration. Woohoo!
Well then, give me the joy of not hearing your horrible voice. Goodbye.
Wait, Doctor. We love...
This game was developed by Black Lantern Studios, and it's a sort of a stealth game. You have to go to different houses in Whoville and steal in the presents and Christmas decorations without being caught. In some way, this game reminds me of that Pink Panther game for the PS1, Pinkadelic Pursuit, with the difference that that game was more in structure and, hurts me to say this, more fun than this one. Don't get me wrong, I love the fact that we have a Grinch game for the Nintendo DS, but come on, this platform had games like Super Mario 64 DS and Rayman DS, straight up remakes and ports of Nintendo 64 games. They could have just ported the PS1 game over to the DS and it would have been an absolute banger, but I'm getting out of track. The game starts with a difficulty selection, and it honestly doesn't vary very much. I'm going for the first option just because it's Christmas and I don't want to burden myself too much. What can I say? This game is truly nothing to write home about. It only has 7 levels, and trust me, I could use footage from only the first level and you wouldn't notice. How is that possible? Well, Every single level looks the same. The layouts are different, but the assets are all the same. Would it have killed the designers to at least use a different color palette? Anyway, you go around the house avoiding the 4 different types of who's. The sleeping kid, who wakes up every 5 seconds for some reason, probably trying to catch a glimpse of Santa dropping off the presents. The dad, who walks around the hallways at a very steady pace. Cindy Lou, the adorable little girl who teaches the meaning of Christmas to the Grinch. And a sleepwalking grandma who, because why not? If Cindy Lou catches you, you have to play a minigame returning sleepwalking grandmas to their rooms. And if the sleepwalking grandmas catch you, you have to play another minigame escaping from them. All using the touchscreen because this is a Nintendo DS game, damn it, and we have to justify its existence. Once you have the required number of presents, usually 6 or 7, you can get out from the level using the big fireplace, or you can prowl around stealing every gift and decorations, or just plain being a pervert and chase around Grandma Who. After you finish all 7 levels, you get some text explaining what happened on Christmas morning, and then the game ends. Roll credits. Music composed by Randall Ryan. Let me tell you, you are the laziest composer to ever exist. Now that we got that out of the way, let's go ahead with the main dish, the Grinch for the PS1. Before getting into the game proper, I have to say that I have a lot of history with this title. First of all, it was one of the few games at the time that was translated into Spanish, something quite important given that I didn't know English back then. Most titles only came in English, except for the soccer games. Developers truly know their market. Anyway, this is a platformer, kind of collectathon game where you must complete missions in the different levels to advance. It was developed by Artificial Mind and Movement, the same people who developed another wonderful little game called Bugs and Taz Time Busters.
That's what I'm talking about! That's why he's the MVP! That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
And it was published by... Wait, are you serious? Yes, this game was published by Konami. Go figure. Before we start with the game, as I already mentioned, I have always played this game in Spanish, even after becoming fully fluent in English, and this time won't be the exception, as it makes part of the tradition of playing this game every year in December. And how could I miss these golden expressions like
Odio a los Who's. Mi corazón es como un guisante.
The game starts with the Grinch pondering outside his home cave, thinking about all the ways he can mess around with the Who's, when he suddenly has a big idea and climbs a pile of boxes to get something, but the boxes crumble and all his blueprints are scattered around. Wholand. What a way to expand the Grinch's lore. So he decides to go out from his cave and terrorize the Who's while looking for his blueprints to spread chaos all around the land. The abilities in this game are pretty straightforward, and you get little tutorials in the Grinch's cave about how to jump and do an ass stomp,
Damn, boy!
move objects, call your canine companion Max, use your fetid breath, and the most important skill of all,
Pulsa el botón de acción para lograr efectos grinchantes.
turns out the Grinch has some strange teleporting devices set up to get to different places of Holland, and the game starts by directing you to the only place that is really shown in the movie, Whoville. Once you enter a level, you get the missions to accomplish and you can start running around exploring the place. What can I say? From the moment you start hearing the music for the Whoville level, you know this is going to be fire. This game has one of the best OSTs of all time. The composer didn't really need to go this hard for a game like this. Damn! You start by going around and doing some messy vandalism by painting the mayor's posters, destroying some snowmen, and making a mess of the letters in the post office before you get one of your precious artifacts, the rotten egg launcher. While you run around the levels, you can find rotten eggs growing from the ground for some reason, and this will be the fuel used by the Grinch's inventions. Speaking of the inventions, you don't just get them from retrieving the blueprints, you have to enter the Grinch's computer in the mountain and arrange them so you can get the invention. The first ones are pretty straightforward, but as further inventions involve more blueprints, it can be a bit of a headache to properly put them together. So once you accomplish 3 missions in a level, you can go to the next one. So it's off to the second world, Who Forest. It's at this point that the game starts to take some liberties with the source material. Are these liberties a good thing? Absolutely yes! What kind of question is that? This is the best game of all time. Anyway, you run around the forest melting Christmas trees with your breath, pour some glue into a cannon for some odd reason, and finally throw some beehives down the chimneys of the houses using your new artifact, the rocket spring, which allows you to jump higher and reach new places. After the houses are empty, you can go inside and find the blueprints for yet another artifact, the slime shooter, and then it's off to the next level, Jubil Municipal Dump. This level pumps you up immediately with its banging soundtrack and tasks you initially with filling the mayor's assistant house with gas, stealing slices of pizza from birds, and destroying robots to feed metal pieces to your computer. For some odd reason. However, in the natural progression of the level, you can actually complete 2 other missions for a total of 5 missions completed before leaving the level, which are cutting the dumped security guard's hair in a horrible fashion and sending rats up the mayor's toilet. We went from juvenile vandalism straight up to attempted murder. What the actual fuck? In the way of your missions, you'll find the blueprints for the octopus climbing device, and once the dump is filled with chaos, it's time to go to the 4th and final level, Who Lake. I truly have to commend the developers for their creativity when it comes to expanding the world of the story. Who Lake is a shore where some Who kids can engage in scout activities like camping and hitting the Grinch with slingshots. You run around the level hitting the scouts' shorts with spiky balls to make them itchy, destroying camping tents with your ass, and accessing another area to make holes in some boats. Wait, I need a scout uniform to access this area. Where do I get it? Of course, you have to make one of the most dangerous and uncomfortable climbs in history to get to a cabin and attack a scout boss until he's naked and you can steal his uniform. Now that you have access to the new area, you can put the holes in the boats and also get all the blueprints for the Marine Mobile and get a new general objective. After finishing at least 3 missions in each level, the Grinch gets a new idea and now needs parts to build a sleigh. So now you have to go back to all the levels and beat some challenges to build your ultimate machine. Once it's ready, you can get on it and give chase to Santa Claus. But wait! There are still some missions to accomplish all over Wholand. The objectives in this game are fun, varied, and go accordingly with the Christmas theme and the Grinch's desire to mess everything up. Some of the most outstanding are vandalizing a statue of August Who Mayor in the City Hall, mess up the countdown clock for Christmas, change the candles of a cake for fireworks, again attempted murder, fucking up the entire town's energy supply, and tying up the mayor's bed to a speedboat in an attempt to murder him. And of course, how can we forget, the last mission in every level is destroying all the presents, which, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, can be tedious as hell. Some of the presents in all but the first level can be located in the air at random parts of the level, so you absolutely need the Grinch copter in order to get them all, which is quite an endeavor to get as well, given that the blueprints for it are scattered throughout all the levels. There are also presents that are dropped by enemies, so if you miss an enemy by chance in a level, you have to return to it and kill all the enemies again in order to find the one that you missed. It is also easy to miss the guards in the first level due to them not being stunned by the rotten egg launcher, but by the slime shooter. Anyway, after getting all the presents, it's finally time to get to that jolly old red wearing bastard. The sleigh chase is one hell of a moment. First destroying the presents that Santa Claus drops in the sky, and then derailing his own sleigh by throwing rotten eggs at him. After finally stealing Christmas, the same ending of the movie plays out in a cutscene. The Grinch has a change of heart and now loves Who's, gives back all the presents, which are magically restored to their original form after the Grinch absolutely obliterated them with his ass during the game, and everyone is happy. But there's more! This game has one of the best and most bizarre completion rewards of all time. For getting 100% in the game, you get a motorcycle racing minigame. There's not a more striking sight than the Grinch riding a motorcycle while wearing jeans and a black leather jacket. This is truly a work of art. Oh, and before I forget, this game even has multiplayer. After getting a specific number of gifts, you unlock 3 different minigames which have a 2-player mode. The first one is a race by swinging around in magical poles, the second one a competition of smashing pumpkins with your ass, And the last one is a race using the Grinch copter to go through some rings. Well, that was quite the ride, a game for the ages, but it doesn't end there, because this game was ported to the Game Boy Color. But how could they translate the magic of such glorious experience to a portable console? Well, according to my arcane research, this game was nominated for Best Action Game of the Year 2000 by IGN. So is there any higher honor? I think not. So let's take a look at the Grinch for the Game Boy Color. The game starts with a wonderful rendition of a song that is not remotely related to the Grinch nor thus sounds Christmas-like. Then you get a mini cutscene for context, and finally you can start playing. At the beginning it just looks like a Pac-Man clone. Just get all the gifts without being seen or caught by the Who's and that's it, right? Wrong! This game is more like a puzzle game, where you have to be aware of your enemy's position and pattern in order to avoid its route. If a Who sees you, it runs after you, and if it catches you, it's back to the start of the level, but the gifts you have already stolen remain stolen. You get caught 3 times and it's game over. But don't worry, you can neutralize these pesky Who's by spitting at them? That's gross, but hey, that was in one scene of the movie, so kudos to the developers. Apart from your speed attack, the other button makes you crawl into small spaces to reach other zones. Also, don't let yourself be fooled by the game's cutesy graphics and colorful environments. The difficulty in this game is brutal. At some point, I just stopped being nice and started spitting at every Who that spotted me, but given the inconsistent hitbox of the attack, it led to many unfair deaths and game overs. Well, at least the password menu has a Christmas song. Color me impressed. In this game you also play as Max for some levels. Now that's nice, everybody loves Max, and instead of Who's, the enemies in these levels are some tough looking Doberman dogs and some wolves. That's horrible! Those creatures could easily rip Max to pieces. One nice detail is that in these levels you can find bone presents for dogs as well. Anyway, you advance through the levels, which get harder and harder, and the number of presents to steal is higher and higher, until you eventually finish the game, and you already know the drill. The Grinch has a change of heart and returns the Christmas presents to the Who's. I just love how they decided to always use Martha Who May's sexy Santa outfit for all the cutscenes, even though that was only present for one scene in the entire movie. You cheeky bastards. You might be wondering, does this game reach the heights of its PS1 counterpart? And the answer is absolutely not. The games have the same cover, but they are nothing alike. A 2D platformer would have more than sufficed to make an excellent adaptation, but this crap is just a stain on the Grinch's name. But hey, at least we can say that this game is way longer than the Nintendo DS one, which isn't a high bar to surpass at all. So that makes the whole list of Grinch adventures. Look, I'm not gonna lie, these games are not highly acclaimed. Hell, the only versions that have a Metacritic score are the PS1 and Dreamcast versions. Does this make the main adventure a bad game? Absolutely not. The PS1 adventure is a hidden gem, and while the other two are a bit underwhelming and subpar, that doesn't mean the other game has to be dragged into the filth alongside them. If you like the 3D platforming collectathon adventures, this game is definitely for you. It's fun and it doesn't overstay its welcome. A perfect game to enjoy these special dates. This will be all for today, my patients, and I feel incredibly happy of being able to share my love for this specific game with you. Have you played any of the Grinch related games before? Did you like any of them? Let me know in the comments below. And remember, one game a day keeps the plague doctor away. What? Who could it be? A little extra present for you, Mr. Doctor, from the Nintendo Ninjas. Well, I guess their heart grew 3 times on this day. What could it be? A piece of coal? Oh, son of a...